I'm a 27-year-old male who lives alone. My brother, who is 21, and his 19-year-old girlfriend still live with our parents because they cannot afford their own place. His girlfriend is currently 4 months pregnant with him. My brother asked if he could bring his girlfriend over for dinner to catch up, and I agreed. However, as soon as she entered my house, she started complaining about the smell of the steak I was making. She said the smell alone made her nauseous and she couldn't eat it. I tried to suggest an alternative, but she was determined to have Chinese food and sent my brother to the nearest mall to get some. I thought that would be the end of it, but when I came back from the bathroom, I caught her throwing my unfinished steak into the garbage. I asked her what she was doing, and she said the smell was so strong that she thought she would throw up on the floor and needed to get rid of it. She then started spraying perfume from her purse in my kitchen. I was beyond furious at this point and sent her back to the living room. When my brother returned from the mall, I kicked them both out with their Chinese food. My brother tried to convince me to let them back in, and said I could make something else for the two of us. His girlfriend was sobbing, but I was determined to kick them out. However, my parents were angry with me for causing my brother's pregnant girlfriend so much distress. I told them that she literally threw away our dinner, but they said I shouldn't have yelled at her or kicked them out. They said she is just a teenager who is being influenced by her pregnancy hormones, and that my outbursts caused problems in their relationship. She even sent my brother to sleep on the couch that night, even though he defended her against me. I have no clue how this is my fault. Am I the idiot for apparently not having enough tact to deal with a pregnant 19-year-old? Not at all. If they are old enough to be parents, they should act like adults. Apparently, they are not mature enough for either. Throwing away the steak wouldn't eliminate the smell, and spraying perfume on top of it would only make it worse. I had terrible morning sickness during both of my pregnancies, and I know how awful it can be when just the smell triggers nausea. But throwing out the food is not the solution. Excuse me? Throwing away a whole steak in this economy? No thank you. I have had 4 pregnancies and never threw out someone else's meal. Did I cry about my own wrong Subway order? Yes, but that's a whole different story. Your brother's girlfriend owes you some steaks. LOL, what a shining example of motherhood. I feel sorry for that kid. My brain is still circling over the Olympic-level mental gymnastics needed to say she's both old enough to be a mother and still just a teenager. Like, pick one. Your parents shouldn't infantilize her now if she's preparing to be a parent herself. Also, I know 7-year-olds with more sense than to throw out someone else's food. 19 is far old enough to have learned that lesson. OP was right. Being pregnant doesn't excuse bad behavior, and parents are infantilizing this woman. They're going to end up with 2 babies in the house. Do you know how she'll learn to act like an adult? By others treating her like an adult, and her seeing adults acting well and dealing with the consequences when they don't. And honestly, I bet the parents just wanted her out of their house for the night, and our angry OP didn't put up with her for a few more hours. For the night? Sounds like they might be looking down the barrel of being full-time babysitters in a few months' time, and are not too happy about it. This mother-to-be obviously isn't backward in expecting others to meet her every need. Don't waste energy being mad at them. Just sit back and thank your lucky stars that you got an early warning of an impending disaster. I, 25 female, am getting married in May of next year. I'm currently planning the reception and I've already secured a venue. I was having a discussion with my fiancé, 27 female, about possible food options, catering or cooking, what types of food, buffet style or served, etc. And my mother, 60 female, and one of my aunts, 56, were visiting. They threw in some thoughts and advice, as they've had weddings, which I really appreciate. The topic of drinking came up, and my aunt asked what kind of cocktails we'd be serving. I told her we wouldn't be serving alcohol at the wedding. She was shocked, and asked what everyone was going to drink. I told her water, sweet tea, lemonade, fruit punch and soda would be available. My aunt said soda was a bad idea because it's so unhealthy, and so is sweet tea and overly sugary lemonade and fruit punch. I told her if she was so concerned about the sugar content, she could stick with water. And we plan on having plenty of fresh fruit to add to it. We'd also have unsweetened tea for my diabetic family members, or they're welcome to request and bring a desirable alternative. She asked why alcohol couldn't be a request. I told her I simply didn't want to serve any at my wedding. My fiancé and I would be financially responsible for the purchase, and alcohol would frankly be out of our budget, and we'd feel responsible for their actions. She asked if she and the other drinkers of the family could bring their own beer, and said it wouldn't really be a party without one. I said no again because it was not in line with our values and budget for the wedding. My wedding and fiancé and I would feel responsible for guests drinking. We also want to have a fun and happy wedding, because everyone there loves each other and is happy to celebrate their family and our union. She said it was already a shame I wasn't getting married in a church, and the least I could do was make up for it with a good reception. I told her if she couldn't go one evening without drinking, then maybe she was the one with the problem. At this point, Mom jumped in and told me I needed to apologize. I said no. I didn't appreciate how my aunt had spoken to me and she needed to leave. They ended up going, but then my aunt complained the next day on Facebook about my dry wedding and said she wasn't going to torture herself driving an hour and a half to my venue just to have a bad time. She also explained how the conversation went the day before and said I called her a drunk for being healthy. I've been getting a lot of messages, some supportive, some on the fence, and some very angry, that I want to ruin a good reception by acting like it's the Prohibition era. I'm honestly confused here. Am I the idiot? Edit. My aunt's health comment wasn't about beer. It was about wine. She believes a glass a day is important for maintaining health, and she drinks at least one glass every single day. She's also hopped on the intermittent fasting trend, so I take her health advice with a grain of salt. Also, a cash bar would invariably make the situation worse. My relatives expect me to provide alcohol for free. If I tell them they have to pay, they'll complain more. One of my uncles was arrested last year because the price of his favorite brand of beer went up, and he stole his next 12-pack because he deserved it after how much money he gave to that company. He still thinks the cops in the store were in the wrong. I love that your aunt thinks beer is healthier than lemonade. Her argument against lemonade and soda being full of sugar doesn't make sense either, as alcohol is also full of sugar. And the idea that God's preference is for us to get married in a church, and then pay for everyone to get drunk after. Not the idiot, the wedding will be better off without her. You are the idiot. On what high horse do you feel the need to be responsible for other adults' consumption? I don't drink much at all, but I wouldn't go to a dry wedding. Or if I did, I'd go to the ceremony and meal, then leave with half of the other guests to go to a local bar and have an actual party. I wouldn't subject a child to several hours of torture at a wedding, whether it's dry or not. Your wedding sounds awful to me, so I'm on your aunt's side, but I'll defend your right to make that choice. I went to a dry wedding, where the church parking lot was next to a house having a barbecue. It started off with a few uncles splitting a 12-pack in their truck, having small talk with a neighbor. And before you knew it, half the reception was dancing on their driveway, eating carne asada and partying with some random old Mexican man and his family. Big ouch for the bride on that one. This was an all-time low for me, as usually, I'm the problem solver. I shouldn't have said it, but was I wrong in saying it? My husband and I both grew up in foster care and developed two completely different attitudes. I'm humble, problem-solving, generally positive, and a glass-half-full type of woman. He's a life is out to get me or it'll never get better, glass-half-empty type of man. Not always. Please don't take this as me bashing him. He has gotten better with the help he gets in therapy. But those moments when he collapses and goes back to his negativity are hard. He has a lot of good days now, and things have been getting better, but recently he's had a personality shift again. Now, back about a year ago, he got himself a dog. Her name is Josie, and she's a healer Dachshund mix. I wasn't exactly in on this decision, Still, I wasn't surprised because he makes impulsive purchases and spends money without thinking. Again, he's gotten better, but it's still there. He wanted a dog from foster care but couldn't, so now he has one. That's how he sees it. He didn't take into consideration her breed or temperament. She has a pretty high prey drive and can be nippy, even with us sometimes. We've bent over backwards trying to train her, but nothing seems to work. And now, because of her prey drive, we have a hard time finding another apartment or house to live in. We're on the verge of eviction after a steep increase in rent, a $550 increase. So now we're paying $1,600 for a one-bedroom with nothing included. In the first month of getting Josie, I begged him to rehome her. My foster mom was a dog trainer, and I know a thing or two about training and temperaments. I knew that given Josie's breed, we were going to have troubles. He didn't listen because he didn't want to abandon the dog, just like he had been abandoned. And now, because of this, we can't find another place to live, and we're slowly going completely broke paying the rent here. We only have $26 to last us until next week, and we don't have rent money for the next month. He started complaining heavily yesterday, and I will admit my tone and attitude were unlike me. He was saying he was sick of living in poverty, and was tired of never having money, and I've heard this far too many times. So I told him we were living in poverty because he made the poor choice. The choice of getting an aggressive dog with a high prey drive and refusing to rehome her because of his abandonment issues is a poor one. We had a place lined up months ago, but they backed out due to the dog. Everyone else says we cannot bring the dog. We can't afford the expenses for another dog. He says I'm an idiot for making him feel bad about not wanting to rehome his dog. I admit I feel bad for even suggesting it, but am I wrong? He claims to be sick of living in poverty, yet he went out of his way to get a dog. Let's consider the common costs of owning a dog: food, treats, toys, grooming, vet visits, annual shots, anti-flea and tick and heartworm medications, dental procedures, and boarding if you're out of town. Oh, and with the current inflation crisis, the cost for all of these is skyrocketing. You are not the idiot in this situation. Part of being an adult is taking responsibility for your decisions and understanding that they can have an impact on your present and future. Your husband has a victim mentality and cannot move forward until he lets go of it. As a child, the world can be a dangerous place, but he needs to move past that mindset. Rehoming the dog to a place with the necessary space, training, and resources is in the dog's best interest and is not the same as abandonment. OP, you're not the idiot in this situation, but you are being one to yourself. Is this the life you want? You can't say he's gotten better when his impulsive decisions are about to leave you homeless. You are about to be homeless. Don't worry about his feelings. It's time for you to decide if this is the life you want or if this is the person you want to spend your life with. Someone whose poor choices are about to make you homeless and who refuses to take responsibility for it. Someone whose feelings are more important than you, having only $26 to last until next week. He has serious issues, but you cannot let him ruin your life with his behavior. Exactly. And you need to be prepared for his manipulation. He will try to guilt trip you with phrases like "go ahead and leave me," like everyone else has. This is just his way of avoiding responsibility for his actions. Some people can't seem to get out of their own way. I moved away at 18 and didn't have much contact with my family for various reasons, but I reconnected with them during my sister's wedding. I even started talking to my dad again, whom I had cut off due to his affair. Saw my dad's affair child Jack, nearly an adult, a couple of times, but he was quiet. I figured it was fine, but then I noticed everyone treated him rudely, mostly and usually insulting his intelligence. When he tries to talk, they either zone out or shut him down. I called my sisters out on it once, and they said it was just teasing, and they all love him. The main thing since they found out has been teasing him for being unlikely to graduate with the rest of his age group this year. Dad shrugged it off, saying that Jack wasn't too bright anyways. I guess I just made it my mission to help Jack out. Took a lot of convincing, but Jack accepted my help. And after loads of effort and hard work, Jack will be walking the stage. I talked to his school about options, tutored him in things I specialize in, paid for tutoring for things I didn't know very well, helped him set up online classes, joined volunteer programs, etc. He even joined his school's baseball team. Though he's taking a gap year to work on more stuff, I'm so proud of him and his effort. And everyone's faces when they found out that he will in fact be graduating was the best. Except now they all want me to tutor their kids. No matter how many times I've said no, they don't stop. They call me a miracle worker, and say if I did it for Jack, I could do it for smarter kids. To be honest, I don't care about their kids. They're all fine. And I don't know if this is weird, but I did this for Jack. This is how we got close, and I want it to remain our thing. My aunt begged me to help her daughter who is failing some classes yesterday, and I was tired and upset because I didn't want to be there. Then my dad joined in, saying I could cut some of my Jack time. I was still helping him to help his niece. I snapped at them, saying, I don't want to help your stupid kids. Jesus, go hire a real tutor and stop bothering me. I didn't mean to swear so much, but my aunt was horrified. My dad got upset and asked me if I was only pretending to be educated because I certainly didn't sound like it. He told me that he didn't want me in his house if I was so upset at the thought of helping my family. Because I don't think so. I admit I may be a little selfish, but I just don't have the energy or desire. Jack fails? Oh, he's just stupid. There's no helping that. Aunt's little angel fails? Oh no, my poor baby is struggling. Drop everything for her. The double standards are staggering. Not the idiot. Tell your dad that if he's so big on helping the family, he certainly didn't show it when Jack needed help. Explain that you only got so angry because answering the same question repeatedly made you think that everyone apart from Jack in your family is a bit slow. Because clearly they don't understand the word no. Say it's just frustration from dealing with a special needs family that just doesn't learn because they're clearly not very bright. Give them a double dose of what Jack has put up with for years. Good on you for helping your brother. Oh God, please send a group text saying this, then go no contact again with everyone except Jack. Offered a finger, and they wanted the whole hand. No, just because you helped one doesn't mean you must help others. Your aunt can help her daughter, or another family member could do it. Aunt is responsible for her family. It's not right for her to dump or try to the burden on you. Bifam, you're busy enough. No time. Aunt can pay for tutoring from someone else.